Today, on a special episode of Sunset Selects, we are talking about Skate, the early access preview, and Jordan has apparently gotten early access preview. So tune in now to learn all about Skate and what the heck this new game is going to be. This is Sunset Selects. That's right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Grow Up, Level Up, Sunset Selects, where we tell you about the games you should be playing in your 5 to 9 after your 9 to 5. And this week, we have a very special one because we are going to be talking all about the early access of Skate, aka Skate 4, aka the reboot of Skate. Today, I am Samson, aka Samson XP. Well, I shouldn't say today.
Just
Every
today?
day I am this person. But today I am joined by, of course, Jordan, aka Sir Dr. JM, our resident skater boy.
I like that. I wouldn't have necessarily called myself a skater boy, but then again, maybe Avril would.
Yeah, exactly. She did sing that. She closed out with that song last time I saw her in concert. It was great. Yeah.
When was the last time you saw her in concert? And have you seen her more than once?
No, this was like May of not even this year, of last year. It just went on a whim and it was really cool. It was like very like, I did listen to a lot of Avril Lavigne growing up, as Canadian as we are. So that was pretty sick. Jordan, I called you Skater Boy because you also been skating in real life. Is that true? Or?
Well, I mean, for those who have followed the show at least this year, I've always been a fan of skateboarding. Tried it when I was much younger, didn't really get too far with it, and then picked it back up as an adult here, literally for my birthday in May. Got a new board and kind of hit the streets, and it's going. It's much harder than people give it credit for, I think. But I do keep it in the basement with me here, so that when I go upstairs in the middle of the day, I hop on the board, I skate to the stairs, and then I go upstairs. So I get a little bit of practice almost every day. Cool. It works out. So I'm not skilled at skating, but always been a fan, interested, and sort of in the scene as much as I could be.
Well, the universe heard you because you were actually chosen to be part of the Skate preview period. Like you got early access and you were signed under NDA and you had to keep this secret for like the past couple of months, I guess.
I was indeed. Yeah. I think it was back in, I wasn't in the preview test for incredibly long. I know there were a lot of people that have been in for like literally years. Like I think the testing started in 2023 and they've seen many different iterations of it. I only got in sort of start of the summer. So I've had it for a good probably 2 months now.
Wow, interesting. I knew this game was in development for a long time, but I didn't know it was like years. They were already doing tests, which is like, I don't know, what are you testing for? There's been 3 of these Skate games before this one, but I'm sure we'll find out all in a second. Skate, of course, developed by EA. I should have pulled up the exact studio owned by EA, but if I scroll down, I can't find it. Maybe it'll come up later. But they announced that the early access release date is coming out September 16th. They put out a trailer on August 26th. Today is August 28th, so a couple days ago, saying that, hey, Skate is coming. It's coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series S, and PC, and, well, Epic Game Store, Steam, and EA app. So it's on everything except Switch. Come on, guys. And in Skate, you will be experiencing improved flick controls, rich physics-based skateboarding gameplay that provides those only in Skate moments, both onboard and offboard exploration for full freedom in the online multiplayer world of San Amsterdam, a weird hybrid of San Francisco, Vancouver, and Amsterdam. But indeed, we're gonna hear Jordan talk all about it. This is kind of a bonus episode. We didn't really plan too far ahead in this, so I don't have any questions. Jordan, but where do you want to start? Like, what is Skate? What are your impressions? Should we be picking this up? I guess is it free to play? I don't know.
Well, these are great questions that I can provide answers to, hopefully all of, but definitely most of. So, I mean, like you said, you covered the platforms. Early access starts on September 16th. And shortly after they announced that the other day, they sent out an email to the playtesters, basically saying that the version that is releasing I think, on the same day to the playtesters, is the same version as what early access will be on September 16th for everyone. So, last night I was playing, and I am playing the early access version that will be out for everyone on September 16th. That said, they also then announced that videos and impressions and things like that can be released from the playtest beginning, well, around the time you're hearing this, obviously. We didn't want to break any NDAs, so we can't release this early. But of course, if you go to YouTube and stuff like that, there are other people who have had special, influencer access and things like that, and have been playing other versions of the game that have been allowed to put stuff up. So let's not talk about them, though. Let's talk about me. We got the trailer playing here for Skate. You touched on a couple things that I do want to give them props for, because I think they are deserving of that. But obviously, I'll kind of go through some of the good, and then some of the not so good as well. So just covering some of the basics. It is free to play, which is pretty huge, honestly. I mean, when you think about the time that Skate 3, the most recent entry in the Skate franchise, was released, it was back in 2010. It's been 15 years since the most recent Skate game. So,
okay, wow.
That was a different time, right? Live service games weren't really a thing like they are. Battle passes weren't really a thing. Like, that is the days of DLC map packs, right? That was, Call of Duty releasing 2 to 3 map packs for every Call of Duty game. And if someone didn't buy the map pack and they were playing multiplayer, well, they just got kicked out of the lobby if it cycled into one of those maps, right? So it was a different time. This is a different game, but at the same time, it is a similar game. It does feature crossplay and cross progression, which is awesome, obviously. Okay. With it being a, quote unquote live service game, that kind of checks all the basic boxes, right? Free to play, cross progression. Interesting that there's no Switch, but, again, not entirely surprising. And Switch 2, obviously, maybe that comes in the future. But again, there have been reports of, like you say, dev kits being hard to get for the Switch 2, and Nintendo going as far as to say, well, just make it for Switch 1 and stuff like that, which is kind of wild, like discouraging developers to come to your platform. Anyways, So I actually want to turn it on you for a moment here.
Oh.
And this will kind of, I think, inform some of the discussion here. But I want to know from you, and I'm going to jot these down so I can probably, come back to them. Give me a few words that you would use to describe skateboarding, skate culture, that kind of thing. They can be, adjectives, vibes, whatever you feel. What describes skating to you?
Ooh, okay. That's a great question, actually. It's definitely cool. Edgy. Okay. I want to say edgy.
Yeah.
Glorified?
Okay.
Now, I don't know what word. I guess it doesn't have to be one singular word, but I mean, it's where it's where the bad kids go hang out after dark, after school in the dark.
Okay,
that's why my mom never wanted me hanging out at the skate park. But things are better now.
Yeah.
So definitely, it oozed cool. Skateboarding.
What about like style wise?
Ooh. I mean, it's so hard to say skater, because how do you describe skater? Baggy jeans, Vans, loose clothing. I guess it kind of transitioned to tight jeans at some point as well.
Yep.
I guess nowadays, wear no helmets, very relevant to skateboarding.
Yep.
And I guess kind of scary. Or not scary, overcoming your fears, because doing the half pipe drop is you're essentially doing a 90-degree drop, and then you have to still be in control as it goes down. So challenging. I'll put that as well.
Okay. Those are all really, really good words, and I think
thank you.
I think they'll inform some of this discussion, as I said. So that's good. So now that we've got that out of the way, I'm almost ready to talk about the good and the bad. But I do want to touch on, just because I'm sure a lot of people listening this may be kind of their not introduction to the skate game, but people will probably come across this as they're trying to find more out about the game before it releases and everything. So there's a couple things that I might touch on a little bit, but I'm not going to go too deep into, simply because I really truly wonder how much they're going to be developed. And I guess with this going into early access and knowing that I'm playing the early access build already, I guess they're probably not going to be expanded at all by the time the public gets in. But these are kind of things that I think, or maybe I hope, maybe it's just a hope, but I think these are things that will get better over time. And I just hope that it's quickly, not necessarily it drags on in the current state. I hope that they really expand on these things. So one of them is character customization. Now, if you listen to a lot of previews, you're probably going to hear a lot of people saying that the character customization kind of sucks. And that's a fact. It does. It's not great. Hairstyles are kind of blah. Just the general, I don't know, customization. What you can do with body shapes and tweaking and things like that feels subpar compared to what a lot of games have these days. Like I say, I hope they add more. I hope they expand on that. I hope they give you more to start with. And I think a big part of that actually comes down to clothing. And like you said, the skater look and style. You start out as a very default, generic kind of shirt and pants and shoes. Yes, you do unlock things. Well, yeah, you do unlock things. And we'll get into a little bit of that later on. But I think in previous games, it felt like you just had more to begin with and there was more flexibility there. So I don't want to talk too much about that because I think that's stuff that either they will build on or, just through the progression of the game, you will unlock quickly. From what I've seen, there's a little bit of that, but it's kind of lacking. So another thing is the music, which a lot of people talk a lot about when it comes to skateboarding games in general, not just skate, but also the Tony Hawk games. People really love the soundtracks to those games. And I think a big part of that, of course, is because music in a lot of ways is kind of ingrained in skate culture, right? You can think about the big chunky headphones back when, before they were cool, and people using their Walkmans or boom boxes out in the street and stuff like that. The music in what we've played so far, again, I don't think it's got some good stuff, but I don't think it's super fleshed out. I think there's a lot of room for improvement there. And again, I think that probably comes down a lot to priorities, but also licensing, right? You got to pay for these things. You got to license the music to put it in the game. With it being a live service, nobody wants to sign a contract that says you own my music in perpetuity. So there's a good chance that music will come and music will go because of the live service nature of this game.
So there is no licensed music right now.
There is some. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You can Google and you can see some of the bands and tracks that are in the game now. And some of it's pretty good. Not a ton that I know, just because, I'm old now, so I don't listen to a lot of newer music.
All the kids.
Yeah, exactly. But like I remember playing, Tony Hawk's Underground, and you get songs by Kiss, right, from the 70s. So, that's not to say that there can't be older music in the games, but I do think that this is something that in a live service era is probably a little more challenging than it used to be. You used to pay a company to license the music, throw it in the game, and then it's in the game. Now, we see problems with that with games now being offered digitally, of course, right? Games get taken off of the digital stores because they have licensed music in them and those licenses expire. So again, live service, different ball game. Maybe music will come, maybe music will go, but I hope they can sort of maintain a consistent and decent soundtrack in the game. But again, I'm bringing these things up because although they might be lacking, I don't really think they're things that you can kind of hold against the game. Because in terms of priority and in terms of a live service and early access, I just don't know that they're finalized, right? I think there is going to be improvement for them. So that's the second one. Now, the third one is going to be hotly contested, and that is the prices in the shop. Of course, free to play game. You got to monetize it somehow. What is the answer? The answer is naturally loot boxes, but also a sort of built-in shop where largely you can buy loot boxes, right? But you can also buy, skateboard decks and things like that, clothes and stuff like that. I think again, I think right now the prices are inflated. They're inflated for a reason. You can't start low and increase prices. That's a real good way to piss off your audience. You have to start them high. And if people are really upset about it and you're not seeing the dollars come in, you can lower the prices, right? Another method, jack the price of everything up, and then everything's constantly on sale, right? If everything costs, whatever, 20,000 in-game currency, but you always have a slash through that and it says 15% off, and now it's only $15,000, people are going to see that and be like, ooh, I'm going to jump on this because it's on sale, even if it's always on sale. So anyways, these are business decisions that I don't really hold too much against the developers. I think a lot of that is publisher driven. But yeah, I didn't want to really dwell on it. I kind of wanted to get these things out of the way because I'm hopeful that these are things that are constantly changing, constantly evolving, because that's the nature of the game, right? With them moving to a live service, a platform sort of thing, that's what we need to see for this game to really succeed. So now that those are out of the way, I want to talk about, well, I'll ask you this. Do you want to start with the good stuff? Do you want to start with the lackluster, I don't want to call it the bad stuff, but the bad stuff?
Interesting. Let's start with the, this is hard. Should I flip a coin?
I can do
Let's
one
start
in
with the good.
Yeah, okay.
Why don't we do a pattern? Why don't we do good,
Yeah.
bad, good, bad?
Yeah,
Keep it interesting.
Let's do that.
Listicle.
All right. So when it comes to the good stuff, I think that the core of skate and any skateboarding game really comes down to the controls. How does it feel to skateboard? Just like in a Spider-Man game, you can't have a good Spider-Man game without having good web slinging. You can't have a good, I don't know, a Kratos game without having a good axe throw nowadays. And the controls in the game feel really good. One thing that I really appreciated was when you first kind of boot into the game, one of the first choices you're presented with is, do you want a classic control style or do you want I think they call it streamlined control style. The differences are pretty subtle, but it does call out the fact that, if you're a hardcore skate player and you've been playing this game for the past 15 years, you've been playing Skate 3 for the past 15 years, then you might be a little more suited for classic because you're going to be used to it, right? Or are you a newcomer or just, you haven't played in a long time, you want to go for the streamlined method. I did try both. And as someone who hasn't played skate in probably, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 years since the last entry, it didn't really matter to me. I think I landed on the streamlined controls just because that felt a little more natural to me. But ultimately, skating feels good. And they have some really nice sort of additive things to the controls that I really appreciated as someone who, again, hadn't played this game or a game really like this in probably 13. So just skating around feels good. But then, of course, the controls of doing tricks and things like that also feel really great. They do have this, and I don't remember if this was maybe an option you could toggle on or toggle off in the old games, but in the sort of middle center of the screen towards the bottom, they have a little circle that shows you what your thumbstick is doing while you play. Now, for the uninitiated, one of the big differences between the Tony Hawk games and skate games is that you actually control your board in the skate games with the right stick. So to do an ollie, you flick the stick forward, the right stick forward, and it makes you do a little hop. Whereas in the Tony Hawk games, traditionally, I want to say you press X and it makes you do an ollie, right? So the control styles are very different. But this little icon sort of in the middle bottom center of your screen shows you what your thumbstick is doing. So it's a sort of empty circle, and then it draws a yellow line to show you what your thumbstick direction is and everything like that. So you flick it to the right and it shows a little yellow arrow pointing to the right to show you that. And of course your character busts a trick or whatever. So when you're getting really complicated with things, it's really helpful. And this actually reminds me a lot of fighting games, where some fighting games, I should say, are what do they call it? Where you do that kind of thing.
There's a motion
for it.
Is there?
I can't remember.
I just feel like all fighting games are kind of like that.
Yeah, there's. I want to say there's some that aren't, or maybe it's a more modern thing where they simplify the controls so you don't have to do that. But you're doing quarter turns, you're doing full turns, you're doing whatever crosses and things like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, and it really reminds me of that. And this is actually something that I'm like, this would be really cool to have in a fighting game. So I could actually see where I'm fumbling my quarter turn when I'm trying to do a move as Rufus in Street Fighter and things like that. But regardless, in Skate, it works really well. They also have a really good sort of, I think they might have even called it this in the game, but a Trickopedia, where you can just pull up the list of all the tricks you can do. You can scroll through it and see what you need to do them. And of course, it's playing an animation on the right-hand side. So that was really great and also really helpful. There's also a lot of tweaking you can do with the actual controls. So if you go into the pause menu, you can change a lot of this and sort of suit it to your needs. Even things like the camera positioning behind you. You can make it so it's higher, lower, bring it in more,
Oh,
bring
yeah.
it back, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in a skating game, as well as I think this would be really good in a lot of racing games, it's really helpful because you can kind of make it so that, hey, I'm seeing as much or as little as I want to see, but also I'm seeing my character as much or as little as I want to. Um, so the controls just in general are probably one of the best parts of this game. And that's what it all comes down to, right? You could put yourself in just a white shirt and white pants, white shoes, and as long as you can do tricks and skate around, like that's the point, right? So that's obviously and probably their number one priority that they had to nail. And I think they did. If you look online, yeah, I did see it was a little bit contested, if people were thrilled with the skating or not. But it also felt a little bit like some of that toxic internet uh, uh, mentality, right? There's a lot of naysayers on Discord and stuff like that. And then you do get people calling them out later on being like, I don't know what people are talking about. Skating actually feels really good. And that's how I felt almost, from the jump, right? Was just that the feel is really great. So very
Cool.
happy with that.
So was it hard to re-pick up the game after not playing it for like 15 years or?
Honestly, I would say no. And I think
Oh, okay.
a big part of that is, they have a tutorial right from the jump and everything.
Cool.
And it really eases you in. And I honestly felt like it was a little bit better than some of the other games at teaching you the basics of how to play, but also giving you time to feel it out on your own. Because that's one thing in a lot of games that kind of gets me is when a tutorial teaches you something and, they say, okay, do this, now do it once, do it twice, do it 3 times. And then they move you on and they don't really give you anywhere to play with that. So one of the things I found really good in this game was it starts you off, it has you walk, pick up your board. It has you climb at one point too, because there's climbing and stuff in this now. You can get off your board, and it has you run through just doing a couple things, learning how to do them. But then it kind of takes it out and says, okay, now go to this place way far away on the other side of town, and you're given the opportunity to just go there. And I really think that helps because then you have time while you're making your way there to just try doing more ollies, try doing more things, and kind of get used to a lot of the basics and a lot of what you're going to need to know in order to be really good and do impressive tricks and things like that.
Cool. Cool.
So yeah.
So it's a good skill ceiling or what do
Oh,
you call it?
totally.
Like skill progression naturally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
one more question about the controls. So I'll be honest, I only played Skate a handful of times, 1, 2, and 3. Didn't really get into it. But I believe that, yeah, it's like a fighting game where you enter in combos, but it's also like physics based. So you need to kind of yeah, do your combos, but you have to do it at certain times, or how does that work? Or like how hard you flick it also influences how hard your board jumps, kind of?
No, I wouldn't say how hard you're flicking and stuff like that influences it. A lot of it comes down to the scenery, the environments that you're playing with. Does come down to the air you're getting and things like that. And that actually ties into one of the things that I actually wasn't crazy about. And that was actually the momentum that you have in the game. I felt like in previous games, especially, Skate 3 being the most, the easiest one to recall, even if it is so long ago, it felt like you could go from sort of ramp to ramp or obstacle to obstacle, and you could maintain a really good flow. And in this one, it really felt like sometimes the momentum wasn't quite there. And I wonder if it's a little too realistic in that sense, because I am playing a video game. I do want a level of, hey, you know, I built up some speed, a, you know, did an ollie on into a grind, and I do kind of want it to just carry me through this rail a little bit. And sometimes it felt like it wasn't quite carrying me enough. Felt like it was a
Interesting.
little bit too much, if there's a down and then an up. On that up, you'd kind of go and then you slide back a little bit. And it felt like
Interesting.
I obviously you want some degree of that because you don't want it to be super unrealistic, but it felt a little too sticky at times or a little too heavy. So that's something that, I kind of jotted down as not necessarily bad, but one of the kind of not great
Question marks?
things about the controls, right? About how it feels.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Now, one thing, so I mean, I talked a lot about controls and I touched on a couple other things there, but one thing that probably leads nicely into the controls and what I was just saying is the map. Now, the map, I would say, was okay, but it didn't feel as good as some of the previous entries, notably Skate 3 and Skate 2. Skate 2 maybe had the best map in the series. Again, a little bit harder to recall that one.
Like you're talking about the open world.
Yeah, the open world, sorry. And that's the thing. In past games, they were more segmented. There was a little more of an element of being in an area and then sort of finding the cool spots. And in, what the heck was it called? San
Vansterdam.
Vansterdam, which is a mouthful. It felt a little, I want to say too urban, too city. There were lots of places to skate, lots of like built-in parks, like literal skate parks in the map, lots of, fancy areas outside of a big corporate building that just has sort of, obviously they tweak it a bit, but natural feeling obstacles that, that you then use as spots and everything like that. But it just didn't feel as cohesive as I wanted or as exciting as I wanted. I felt like I wanted more secrets. I wanted more hidden things. I wanted to, I don't know. And maybe this stuff is there and I just didn't see it, but I wanted to find, I don't know, a ramp that led somewhere that, when you hit it, you bust through a window and surprise, you're in a warehouse and there's a whole park in here. Or, you go into a construction site through some climbing or whatever. And, obviously construction site in real life, not a good place to skate, but in a game would have really cool stuff, right? Actual concrete tunnels and quarter pipes and things like that, and ramps out of dirt and stuff like that. And I didn't feel like it had that sort of mystery and secret, which I think has always been something that, Tony Hawk or Skate is something that people really love and is something that has always been kind of core to the series. So I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't feel like I was finding secret spots and things like that. Especially part of the tutorial obviously has you climbing up some large buildings and things like that. And you do kind of get a lay of the land. So, maybe that removed some of the mystery, but I did feel like that was lacking. So that was unfortunate, but yeah.
Well, you just haven't found them yet.
And that could be it, right? It could be I wasn't digging hard enough. It could be that, for a lot of the time I am just skating around and hitting the stuff that I'm finding. Maybe I didn't go in deep enough and maybe I should, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll try to get to that. Now, something about the map and the world overall that I did enjoy, which I don't think everyone's going to jive with, was actually the colors. I really like the city and the look of it. I don't know if maybe you can pull up the trailer again. We can get some sort of snippets of the city. Like I say, I don't necessarily like exploring this city all that much, but I like what they have going on with some of the colors and some of the vibrancy, some of the skate parks and environments and things like that. You do get these sort of splashes of color that I appreciated. Yeah, and as you can see here, and if you're watching the trailer there, if you look at sort of some of the top areas of the buildings, not necessarily the skyscrapers and things like that, but when it does these sort of overhead views, you get some of these kind of hidden parks and things like that. And you can see here, in the trailer again, we got some pools which are blue, obviously, and stuff like that.
Lots of rails and flat, ramps. Cool.
Yeah, and so I like when we have these sort of splashes of color. And I do think that they kind of stand out. A lot of them are obviously rails
Huh.
and curbs and obstacles that, they want to encourage you to actually skate on and skate with and everything. So that's kind of why now something like this is totally random. And I don't know
Oh,
what this
that's
is, but
very random. There's a ramp in the sky. What the heck is? Oh, that's cool. Actually, it's a
so
building.
what you're seeing here is, yeah. So actually, you know what? I wasn't going to go to this next, but um, one of the things I really appreciate about the Skate series or franchise as a whole, and I did feel like they did a good job of, and also I feel like they did a good job of highlighting in the trailer, is the goofy shit. And that's
There's a lot of bodies ragdolling on the
yes.
ground. There's a
So
couple of that.
even in the trailer, almost immediately you see a guy skate into a car and he just collapses. You see at one point some people are skating and a toilet drops and then a rail drops on top of the toilet and then a guy collides with the rail. And again, it's goofy, it's silly, but it is funny, and it's good that they kept that in the series because I think that's always been something that's kind of core to the series. If you go on Instagram or TikTok and you look up skate videos, you see people busting wild tricks, doing the Jesus Christ in the sky
Oh
where
yeah.
they go into the T pose and everything like that. Just funny stuff like that. I actually did find that earlier in the test, it felt like the game was a little more forgiving than I wanted it to be. You could bump into things or collide with things and you just kind of hit them and bounce off and keep skating. And just playing last night, I felt like they must have tweaked it a little bit. It felt like a little less forgiving where you'd hit something at the wrong angle and you would just fall off your board, collapse into a little ball and things like that. So anyways, I was glad to see that some of the goofy stuff really kind of came back. Now, probably one of my least favorite things about this, which obviously you see a lot of in the trailer because it's pretty much impossible to miss. I called out the colors and how much I like seeing those pops of color. But overall, one thing that I'm really disappointed with, and I think this is a pretty general consensus, is the art style of the game. The biggest sort of culprit in that sense is easily the people, the characters, which again comes back to the character customization, which, I said I didn't want to go too far into because I think customization is something that they can improve on, but they can't change the art style of the characters, right? If you look on Discord and the chatter online and Reddit and things like that, a lot of people are really hating on the quote unquote Fortniteization of the characters, right? They all have that kind of generic, a little bit cartoony, a little bit realistic, somewhere in between look to them. And, I can't disagree with the fact that it does feel like a little bit too out of place, honestly. With the city being what it is, I think it's realistic enough that you could have slightly more realistic looking people. And I'm not saying it has to be photorealism. I'm not saying it has to be, The Last of Us or even, a Call of Duty level kind of game. But I do think that people would honestly appreciate it more and like it more if they were a little more realistic looking and a little less cartoony looking. Ultimately, to me, the cartooniness and the silliness should come from the things you're doing on the board, not how your character looks, right? Again, I touched on that goofy stuff of, a toilet dropping from the sky and then hitting a rail or hitting a car and collapsing or, doing the T pose in the sky and things like that. That's where the silliness and the goofiness should come from, not how the characters look. People want to make the characters look like probably themselves because
Mm-hmm.
this is, games are a power fantasy, right? In general, people want the fantasy of being a really good skateboarder. That's why I play. I just said, I used to try and skate when I was younger and I gave up on it because I was so bad. And I only took it up, whatever, 4 or 5, 6 months ago because I'm an adult now and I can afford to buy a board. And even still I'm terrible at it, right? So I think that it's a pretty big miss that they went with this sort of character style and everything. On top of that, kind of expanding on those characters and everything like that, it's not just you, the character you are creating, it's also the characters in the world. And this is something that I think they could implement more of or implement better. In past games, you'd be skating around, you'd come across a real life skateboarder who's well known, Rodney Mullen or something like that. and they'd be, whatever, crouching at a certain spot. You'd go up to them, you'd talk to them, and they'd give you a challenge, and they'd be like, "Hey, skate with me down this, whatever the case is, down this rail,
this ramp." Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right. Skate this line with me, or try to do it better than me, things like that, right? And the characters you get introduced to in the game so far, they all feel very soulless.
Yeah. Like
And I don't,
even looking at this trailer here, it's everything
yeah,
looks very flat. The clothes don't move.
yeah,
Clay
it's
looking.
very, like, I don't want to use the term soulless, but it feels soulless. It feels corporate. It feels empty. And I think that's kind of another big miss. You want to be interacting with fun, cool, interesting characters. Even your like sort of, it's the force guiding you through the tutorial and stuff. I saw in one video they called it a camera, and I hadn't realized it's supposed to be like a video camera, but it's like this weird robot thing. It has a little face, and like as an icon, it's cute. Its name is VE.
Okay.
But again, the choice to use sort of a robot for this kind of thing really strikes me as kind of the sort of ethos behind a lot of this, right? It's EA. They want to make money off you. They want you to buy the battle pass. They want you to buy the loot boxes. They want you to be, gambling away your savings on the chance that you're going to unlock a cool shirt, hat, shorts, shoes, board, whatever. And I think that comes through with a lot of the characters. And that's really unfortunate, because what do you not want people feeling about your game? You don't want them feeling your game is corporate, especially a game about skateboarding, where I'll come back to some of those words you used. Skateboarding is cool. Skateboarding is edgy. Skateboarding is about, being challenged, overcoming your fears. Corporate life is not about any of those words. Corporate life is not edgy, like, and a lot of the sort of systems in this game so far feel corporate. They feel like it's EA saying, honestly, I can't remember who actually develops the game either, but it feels like EA, corporate overlord EA, saying, put this in your game, do it this way, make it this XYZ. And I'm sure the developers did the best they could, knowing they had to satisfy those certain needs.
Well, I was a little shocked, to be honest, when you said the game had loot boxes. Like EA,
Oh yeah,
just got rid of their moniker, their branding. That like, oh, we're the loot box people. It's like Star Wars Battlefront and
yeah,
like Apex. Like we just got away from all that, and they
yeah.
decided to put loot boxes back in
Well,
here. It's crazy.
And it's like, to me, when I think of loot boxes, I think of the very literal loot boxes that Activision Blizzard obviously had in Overwatch, where it was a literal box that appeared on your screen. You'd hold a button and it'd go boom, and then it'd explode and give you your 4 rewards. And in this, you complete a challenge, and then it goes through and it's like, hey, you earned this much XP. And it's like, here's your 4 rewards.
Oh, okay.
They're not presenting you the box. They're just presenting you the rewards. But then shortly after that, in the tutorial, they have you go to the store, which is a literal storefront, which is fine. You go shopping for skate clothes and skateboard decks and stuff like that at a store. But you walk up, and of course, what are you presented with? This thing where it's like, hey, here's a crate, and here's a premium crate. And do you want to buy one with your in-game currency? Because, of course, they don't want you dealing in real bucks, because real bucks are real. But if they put in their own currency, which is the same reason why Fortnite has its own currency.
Or whatever.
Exactly. And I can't remember what they're called, because I don't care. There's a pink one, and then I think there's an orange one. A pleb currency and a premium currency, right?
Yeah.
Just like so many
Credits
other
and coins,
games. Yeah, exactly. So, again, that was something I had under the, the not so great, the bad section is, it's the same stuff, different day when it comes to the loot boxes, the cost, and things like that, the monetization. And the problem is, I have no problem buying cool stuff. I personally think that as long as you can earn in-game currency or earn rewards just by playing the game, I have no problem with the store being there as well. Developers have to make money somehow. But it's about presentation. and it's about what value you're actually giving. And if I don't see the value in those loot boxes that I have to pay extra for or whatever, I'm just never going to touch them, right? So, now I do want to flip it back on something else. Something that's good about this game, again, kind of touching on the goofy stuff. There's some big fun to be had with the climbing and the sort of feels like adventuring in this game. Obviously, we saw it in the trailer there, but you can literally jump, ride your board off a skyscraper, take your board off, and just do a dive. And you like full on Superman, 2 arms forward, feet behind you, and you just fly through the air like this. And like, yeah, it's physics based. So you are plummeting towards the ground or towards another thing or whatever.
Spider-Man without the webs.
Exactly. And you can hit triangle and that board zaps back to you and you hop back on it. And that feels really good. And that's really fun. There's also like even just moving around the world. They actually did a good job of when you get off your board, like the walking and running is fine, but you can also roll and you can also slide. And they did a good job of making that feel fun as well. Because I mean, realistically, if that didn't feel good, then why would you ever get off your board? But they do want you to encourage you to get off your board because of the sort of climbing and everything that you can do in the game. So I was pleased with that. Now, I've been crossing these things off my list as we go. And unfortunately, I think the only other things that I have to talk about are not so great. The bad, as I have written down here. So let me give you a choice here. Would you like me to talk about the always online, the UI, or the motivation?
I'm curious about motivation. What do you mean by that?
Okay. So the motivation to me is, why am I playing this game? And that comes down in a lot of ways to story and to challenges. And I didn't find there was a lot of motivation behind what I was playing. Now, obviously, Skate as a franchise has existed for, the past number of years, and especially on social media, purely because the skating aspect is fun and cool. And like I said, at times goofy. Again, coming back to TikTok or Instagram Reels, you go look up Skate and you get all sorts of awesome videos about people busting wild tricks and just abusing the physics and things like that in the game. Sure, that's one reason to play for some people. But a lot of people are going to get into this game and they want a goal. They want a mission. They want the next challenge. And although this game seems to be chock full of challenges, it doesn't feel like there's a motivating factor behind why I'm doing them. Whether that's, they give you currency at the end. But again, I didn't find the shop to be enticing. I didn't want to go buy the rewards. In fact, I found it clunky to go do that. I found the UI of that shop and interacting with those rewards to be overwhelming and overcomplicated. So, rewarding me with a currency isn't really much of a reward at all. In past Skate games, there has been sort of an overarching story, which not necessarily, it's not Shakespeare or anything like that, but it was at least a good reason for, hey, here's why I'm here. Here's what I'm doing. Here's why I'm doing what I'm doing in order to get to the next, whatever, main story plot line kind of thing, or goalpost, if you will. And in this, again, your little robot V walks you through the tutorial stuff. And then she kind of guides you to, hey, you should go meet Zach. He's a cool skater that'll, wants to teach you all about drop-ins. And it's, some of it was more tutorialization, but some of it as well is them. That's how they're communicating this world to you. That's how they're trying to get you involved and motivate you again to complete the challenges, to do the tasks that they're giving you.
Do you get like a reward, like a cosmetic or anything?
Generally, it's currency and cosmetics. But again,
Okay.
I think I got like 3 different pairs of green Vans.
And
they all look the same to me. I was like,
damn,
what is the point in this? Right?
Yeah.
And so again, I'm just like, where's that motivation to actually go do these challenges or to actually progress with the, and I'll use air quotes here, story, because I didn't feel like it was a story. Maybe not enough of it is out yet. Maybe they will build on it, expand on it. Maybe, I mean, again, like Rob and Big. I don't know if you know who Rob and Big are. They're MTV skater guys
I'll
kind of thing.
pretend I do.
Yeah, fair enough. Skate people will know Robin Big because they were in the game, and there was none of that in this. Now, again, early access, public playtests, closed playtests. I see a world where that stuff comes. I see a world where we do get real life skaters, especially some of the sort of newer generation of skaters. Like I mentioned, Rodney Mullen, and like he's an old head at this point, just like Tony Hawk is, but Tony Hawk obviously is the biggest name in skating. But there is a new generation of skater, and also some really young people that it would be really cool to see in the game. But again, TBD if that actually happens, and sort of bringing it all back. I really felt like this lack of motivation to progress. Sure, sometimes I just go skate around, do tricks, do grabs, whatever, do flips, because that's cool. But if I'm going to come back to this game, I need some bigger motivation. So that's where I land on that. I
can see that.
And I touched on the UI there as well, which, like I said, overcomplicated, a little messy in places.
Which is actually also surprising to me because I thought like this is like the easy to learn, hard to master skate game. Like
I could see that.
Yeah, the analog stick. You just gotta figure out your combos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. And to me, like the UI, I mean, I think UI in a lot of games is sort of understated how much of an impact it makes. Because when a game really focuses on their UI and making it a cohesive vision for what you're doing, I think it really improves the game experience overall. If you look at a God of War, where every aspect of that game really ties back into the feel and the look of the game, I think it makes a big difference versus a game with sort of a more bland UI. Actually, a great example of this is the original Kingdom Hearts versus Kingdom Hearts 2. If you look at what they did with the menu, the in-game action menu from 1 to 2, I think it makes a huge difference in making you feel more immersed in that world, making you feel more a part of it. And I think skate culture really lends itself to a cool UI, right? We talked about being edgy. We talked about it being where the bad kids go after dark and things like that. I think there's a lot of good opportunity to make a cool UI. And I think in the past skate games, they actually did have that down. I can't remember if it was 2 or 3, but one of them had this sort of almost like CRT TV sepia tint kind of thing on the UI. And it felt a little bit like an analog TV clock or something like that. And I thought that was really cool. Yeah,
trying to pull up some photos here.
This is and I mean, this is all showing you like the map maker and editor and stuff like that. Try Googling like Skate 3 pause menu. We'll see if that helps. Pause menu. Okay. Oh, here, go to that one just to the left of the big image. No, one to the right. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. You see how it's got this kind of yellowy brown to it? That came across as sort of like a video filter. And you see how the word trick guide in the top left is kind of in this written kind of digital film Sharpie style, right? I really like that. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to do that, but, in bigger and better ways.
In 4K,
yeah.
It's grittier. Like it's dirty.
Exactly. I would love to see and I mean, it seems kind of cliche, but show me a little more graffiti style when it comes to what the heck was.
Did you unlock this? Hey, this looks like Fortnite.
It does look like Fortnite, doesn't it? Anyways, so yeah, you see you got these kind of ink blots and stuff like that. So I really like that, and I think that was kind of a miss.
It does look very clean, corporate.
Yeah, again, corporate, soulless, which is challenging. Now, there's one more thing. I know we're going long here. There's one more thing that I need to talk about because this will be something everyone's asking. And that is, how does it feel with the open world being always online? So as far as I know, there's no way to play this game offline. I think it requires a constant internet connection, a dedicated internet connection. And when you go into the world, there are other skaters skating around. And that's a cool idea. But when everyone has a different internet connection and some guy is skating by you as you're standing still, but then he skates by you again, but then it kind of lags and he skates by you 4 times, twitchy as hell. It's not so cool, right?
Yeah.
The idea of being able to drop in with a friend and just go to the skate park and hang out, just like kids do in Fortnite and things like that, is a great idea. But they need private lobbies or something like that. They need you to be able to say, hey, me and 3 of my friends are going to drop into San Van Stansterdam and enjoy ourselves and skate around and, show each other cool spots. They
Hang
need
out.
that, and they don't have it as far as I know. And it means that a lot of the time it is a buggy, twitchy mess as people skate around you. Like I said, you can get off your board and do this roll, which is like really kind of goofy because your hands kind of go like this and you just crouch and then roll. And you can just do that endlessly. You can go off jumps and be rolling and stuff. And it's hilarious to see. And it's also hilarious when people are doing that around you, but also lagging. And it's just these like bodies, these little rolled up bodies twitching around and flopping everywhere. And I have a good internet connection. I have my PS5 hardwired into the internet, and I have 1.5 gig internet speed in my house, up and down. It's fiber. I have good internet. Don't tell me it's my internet connection. It's everyone else's internet connection. Okay. And it's hilarious, but it's not good either. Like,
Crazy.
They need to implement private lobbies. They need to let me play with my friends as I want to, and or stabilize these servers. Now, again, there's a lot going on there. Again, like in real life, I work in IT. I know that is not an easy task or ask, but I just don't think it works out as well as they want it to or as well as they hope. I cannot imagine what it's going to be like on September 16th when the early access launches to the public.
So you're having, internet issues even with the smallish pool.
Yeah.
It's hard to say how many people got
in.
But
I can't remember. I think I read somewhere that the map is going, like, I want to say cap out at like 150 people. Like, it's not a small amount. It's not like 30 people in a, COD lobby or something like that, or even 64, which we've seen in competitive shooters. I'm pretty sure it's a pretty significant amount that they're letting into a single lobby at a time. So.
Yeah, 150 in one instance. And
don't quote me on that, but I want to say I read that just today.
Wow, that's actually quite surprising. So hopefully they work out those.
They want it to be
coming up.
They want it to be a living, breathing, skating world, which, again, cool in premise. But when it doesn't work, it's not cool. It's funny, but it's not cool. So
I can see some like those funny clips going viral on TikTok.
Oh yeah,
just goofy stuff happening, all the rolling around. I can already picture it. You're gonna get a video on your feed of like 10 people rolling in a line all around the skate van.
You definitely are.
Amsterdam.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, you gave a lot of thoughts on skate. I definitely. I'm curious to check it out. At first, I was gonna be like, Jordan's got it.
I mean,
but
free to play,
cross production, free to play. I mean, I think I know what game we'll be playing on September 16th, especially just to try for like a night or a weekend. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah. Before we close out this episode, what's your hope for the game, Jordan? Like, do you see yourself playing this a year from now? Do you see it as like, it was a fun experiment? Or
I mean, the funny thing is, despite everything I have said, despite all the negatives, again, skating feels good and tricks feel good. Combine that with the fact that this game is free to play. I have a feeling this game will get installed on my PS5 and it will not be uninstalled.
Oh.
And in a very similar vein to like an Elden Ring, where every now and then I just get a craving to go jump into Elden Ring and, use my magic, use my sword to blow stuff up. And by that, I mean kill guys, because that's what you do in Elden Ring. I think that Skate will remain on my PS5 just as something that, hey, every now and then, you just want to go skate. Again, same reason why Overwatch is always installed on my PlayStation. Sometimes, and I've talked about this before, you just want to go click heads, In Elden Ring, sometimes you just want to go live in a fantasy world. In Skate, sometimes you want to just go skate. So I think that works in their favor. I think the free-to-play thing is absolutely key. If they come out of early access and say we are charging for this game, people will riot. The streets will burn. I think with all of the bad decisions they've made,
Amsterdam is burning down.
Yes. with all of the bad decisions they have made, that is the one decision that I think could honestly save this game. That and the TikTok and Instagram culture, even just looking at Skate 3 clips that I see all the time, is probably going to move to, the new Skate. I wish they called it Skate 4. It's just easier to call it Skate 4. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah,
so
new Skate 2025.
Yeah, Skate 2025, God of War
Yeah.
2018. But
your comparison to stuff like Fortnite being just
yeah,
the hub, the world that
Yeah.
the kids will hang out in, I think is kind of where they're trying to position themselves, like as free to play, if they stick with free to play, which I think they should.
Totally.
Yeah, just being a place where everyone hangs out. Now, when you brought that up, I also thought, how long until Fortnite just rips this off? And I'm skating with my friends as Kratos and Ariana Grande.
Man.
Like, they have the physics. They can implement this.
They have like rail grinding and stuff already, so
people are already there. Like, might not. I have to play the game like Fortnite. Yeah, it has rail grinding. It's not as physics based though.
Yeah,
which
you
I
latch
guess
on
Skate
it.
has it up for it.
But
yeah, but if like you can get the skating, like the going down really fast and then jumping off, like like might as well do that in Fortnite, where all my skins and my Supermans, and if we get bored of skating, we can just play Battle Royale or
yeah. That's not a bad idea, honestly. And I mean, that also brings up the fact that, will we get skins in this game? Will Skate land Kratos? Will we have Master Chief riding aboard? That would be pretty damn cool if you ask me, right? Just like it's cool to see Doom Guy in Fortnite and Kratos and Superman and Batman.
I think Doom Guy's in Tony Hawk actually as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was picturing that. And I was thinking, why have I seen this before? But the point is, that would be cool. That could be something that actually works out for them, right? Throw them in the store. Now, are they going to be overpriced? Yes. That is the nature of skins. That's how Fortnite does it. That's how Valorant does it. That's how Overwatch now does it. Like, skins are expensive, and that's because they're a moneymaker. But yeah, now that you say that, like, that could be cool. Would I ever buy them? Probably not, unless we get One Piece. But they could be really cool. So
could
I like
happen.
That. Yeah,
it could happen. Hire me, EA.
Yeah,
I'll be your business dev. No worries.
That's right.
I know what the kids want.
That's right.
Well, Jordan, thanks so much for sharing all about Skate. Comes out on early access on September 16th on PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series, PC. I'll be definitely joining you on the PC side here. Just goofing around, playing with skating, exploring Sand Vansterdam, seeing what landmarks I can find. I already saw that they have some sort of science world in there, so that's our first stop. Will you, audience, listener, wherever you're reading, maybe you're reading the transcript, I don't know, will you be joining us for the Skate early access? Let us know in the comments below. Leave a thumbs up if you are as well, and make sure to subscribe if you want to get more episodes like this one, where we talk about the games that you should be playing in your 5 to 9 after your 9 to 5. Make sure to check out some of our other videos. Check out our other episodes of Sunset Selects and How We Play here on the Grow Up Level Up YouTube channel. My name has been Samson, aka Samson XP. Follow me on all the socials at Samson XP, at smsn.bluesky.social if you'd rather blue sky it up. Jordan, where can people find you?
You can find me everywhere at Sir Dr. JM. That's at Sir DRJM. But especially, and I don't know why I don't call this out on the show, you can find me on PlayStation at Sir Dr. JM. So add me there. Let's be friends, and maybe we'll skate together. If the connection holds.
Yeah, it's not you, it's them. If it doesn't.
That's right. Remember that.
Follow us at Grow Up Level Up on all the socials as well to get more information and content on what we're doing. We love to cover games, movies, TV shows, whatever piques our interest. And we love to interview people on how they implement games into their day-to-day lives. So follow at Grow Up Level Up to keep up with all of us. As we close out this episode, I always like to ask Jordan, do you have any wise words for us?
My wise words today will be fitting. Skate is life.